Hi, my love. Welcome back to the podcast. It has been a hot minute, to say the least. If you're new here, my name is Brie, and I'm really, really excited to have you. If you're a long time listener, welcome back. This is the first episode that I've released in almost 2 years, which is pretty crazy, actually, to think about how much time has passed, to be honest. For the past 2 years, I have had a little bit of a break from the podcast. My father-in-law was very unwell and unfortunately passed away. So my family really needed me. And not long after that, I had a car accident, which left me injured, among a bunch of other stuff. So life was really lifing, I would say, for the last couple of years. And so for a while, I think a lot of things in my life and business that were usually very secure kind of got thrown up in the air. And I just had to take a bit of a step back from everything that felt a little bit public. And while I'm not here to sit in that today, that's absolutely not the point. I didn't want to come back and pretend that there was no gap, because there was. There was very much a big gap. And so all of that has led me here to this conversation with you today. So before the break, the podcast was mostly for couples and clients for my floristry business, April and Fritz. And the purpose was really to help them understand flowers and events and really what it's like to work with a florist. And I love that work. I still do. That's my bread and butter. About 12 months ago, I was invited back to my old floristry school, Melbourne Polytechnic, to run a workshop for the students on building a floristry business. And I really took them through the same process of how I built my brand, kind of the thinking behind it, and all the businessy parts that you don't really get as part of the standard floristry qualification, I suppose. And I cannot overstate how much fun I had. It was so energizing to be in a room full of young, passionate people who just really wanted to make something out of this career. And at the end of the workshop, a few of the students actually asked me if I would be open to coaching or mentoring them because they were interested in starting their own business. And so at the time, I just kind of thought, why not? And interestingly, it was also around this same point in time that my back from the accident really wasn't getting any better. And frankly, I knew that I needed to make some pretty big changes in the way that I was working, because I just wasn't really tolerating the physical demands of the floristry job anymore. So I kind of had to have a look at, what I was building professionally and personally. In all honesty, I wasn't really that happy, because I didn't feel like I could give it my all in any of these places. And as somebody who is quite ambitious, I also wasn't tolerating that. So I kind of had to get, really brutally honest, I think, about the kind of work that I was taking on at April and Fritz, the way that I was working, the expectations that I was sort of putting on myself, and really review every single last piece of it. And so as it currently stands, April and Fritz is still very much alive. I am still completely in love with flowers and designing weddings and events, and, obsessed with the clients that I get to work with there. But what has changed is my capacity. And I've had to become much more intentional and selective about what projects I take on. And that has really, I think, created a lot of space for me to lean in fully into coaching florists, which I also love. So, it's a win-win. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that for me, it's not an either or, it's an and. So I've been considering myself now for a little while as a florist and a coach. And so with all of that said, I just decided to come on here and let you know that I've decided to relaunch the podcast and rename it. And so from here on out, it's going to be called Cultivate, because over the past year in particular, I have essentially had to cultivate every area of my life all over again. I had to rethink about how I was working, how much my body could tolerate, what my weeks looked like, and what I was actually building towards. And it's been a very, very real, practical exercise in asking, what stays, what goes, what needs to be different, and what conditions do I need to grow and feel my best. And so because I've been coaching florists during this time, I've come to realize that it's not just me. And even though the details sort of might be a little bit different, so often I see time and time again that the pattern is the same. The florists that I work with are not short on talent or work ethic. They are just sort of looking for a little bit more control over their time, their bookings, their pricing, and the kind of work that they actually are doing. And so in horticulture, a cultivar is a plant variety that has been deliberately selected and developed for certain qualities. There is someone who pays particular attention to the conditions, right? The soil, the light, the water, the structure, and makes decisions over time so that that plant can grow and show in a very particular way. So we have a cultivator. And that whole idea has just felt really close to home for what I've kind of been doing in my own world over the last 12 months, but also what I've been helping my clients with over and over again in the last 12 months too. And so it's just sort of become really obvious to me that you're not just running a floristry business. You are literally cultivating the conditions around your work, your time, your energy, your nervous system, your creativity, your standards, your leadership, all of the different pieces. And so the idea is that when you cultivate those things, you shape them deliberately. And so moving forward in the podcast, you are going to be the cultivator. Your life, your business, your craft, your creativity are what we are going to be cultivating here. And so we'll look at how you work, how you sell, how you design, how you recover, how you think. And we'll keep asking, are the conditions I'm creating actually supporting the life and work that I say that I want? And so the word cultivate really, I think, captures the essence. And so if you're here after all of that, thank you for listening. First and foremost, it feels really, really special to be able to sit down and talk to you again like this. You know, it's not all about the bouquets and the briefs, but sort of the real decisions that sit underneath the floristry business and the creative life that I'm creating and how that's going to impact you. So from here, you can expect episodes that go deeper into the patterns that I see in my own business and the clients that I'm working with to help you make more precise decisions in your own. And to kick off this new era of the podcast, we are going to start in the next episode where so many of you are feeling it with inquiries and bookings. But yeah, for now, I just wanted to say a massive thank you again for all of your support and for being here. It really does mean the world to me. And I just can't wait to see where this is going to go. All right. I'll see you in the first episode.